And testing 1 2. Hey, what's up? This is Carl Joshua Ncube. This is first thing in the morning. I recently got myself this mic because I haven't been using any mics in my content throughout my career. I haven't really been bothered. Just shoot on camera and basically been deploying my content over the years. Reason being is because a lot of the times the content is going onto WhatsApp or any of those platforms, and it's not that I didn't care as such, but it just felt a little bit clunky carrying around a lot of different like equipment and stuff like that. I always like to travel compact just with my backpack and stuff. So I've just found myself getting like the gear's gotten a lot better, right? Now we've got the two iPhone 16 Pro Maxes and this DJI set of microphones. So we're just testing them out. Sorry, this is just me. If it's just got out of bed. Nels is still asleep. We are back in Harare, and I just wanted to, just see what this equipment is like. So I might as well just talk about something, I guess. I guess in recent days, people have seen us do a lot of stuff like we're working on a project that's called Go Warriors Fans. And people are just kind of wondering, so what's happened to the rural B&B project? So I just wanted to explain to you what my approach is to a lot of things. So as an entrepreneur, obviously you always think big, you always think grand about the projects that you're doing. And that's what I call a vision. So as you have a vision, it's a destination. It's a place that you're going to. What's most important is for you to then figure out the strategy. How do you get there? So for any big idea that I would normally have, I like to break it up into smaller components because those of you who have read my book, Starting from Scratch, will know that there's like a difference between like an idea, a proof of concept, a prototype, a business, a corporate, a cause, a platform, and all of these things have different approaches. So quite often a person has an idea and then they immediately go register a company, which is incorrect. Sometimes your idea is not necessarily just for you. Sometimes your idea is for other people, and then you can get paid for it, and then your business becomes the business that creates ideas for others. So people sometimes don't know the difference between like a feature of a business or an idea or a concept, and so they don't really know how to piece things together. Anyway, so let me come to my case example. So rural B&B has a lot of moving parts. For those of you who have maybe watched my lecture at UZ where I presented what the big picture was, it was quite an overwhelming presentation, trying to explain the scope or the size of what rural tourism was. In fact, when the rural tourism business is one of the components, but the bigger picture is that of rural development. So it was trying to seek a platform in which people can understand that rural life can be a place where they could thrive, a place where they could develop without necessarily having to live like they live in the cities, but actually live a completely different sustainable way within the village. So how do we then present rural B&B to the public? So there's a lot of different things. We have to build a community, we have to train a community, we have to train the villagers, we have to train homesteaders, we have to train people in the diaspora, people in Zimbabwe, people around the continent to understand the values that we have in the rural tourism setup. This is not only labor intensive, but it's also very expensive. And so how do we navigate financing this particular thing? It's to break up the big problem into smaller manageable units. So you will see, for example, that in rural B&B, it required us, in order to show you the vision, we had to do a lot of AI representation and prototyping to show you what kind of ideas were there. So we took that feature and created an outfit called Leapfrog AI. So Leapfrog AI develops AI generated content or ideas for other businesses, and we get paid for it. So you also, if you look at rural B&B, so Rural B&B came out of a project that's called Vic Falls 365, where we went into Victoria Falls and we curated everything that you could do in Victoria Falls. And then basically what we could do is a referral service. Because remember, I'm a travel influencer. So how I get paid is that other hotels will pay me or restaurants will pay me in order to recommend them. So one of the big things that we do is that we don't recommend places we haven't stayed, we haven't eaten in, we haven't experienced the actual product, because we want to give a first-hand experience of what we're doing. And so in the rural B&B setup, we are using that kind of experience to train people to say, listen, here are all the good things that are happening in the hotels, or the bad things and whatever. This is what you can set up in the rural setup. So we're trying to bring the hospitality efficiency of the hotels into the charm of the rural setup. And so for us, we then take the rural B&B platform, which is supposed to be how people can book rural experiences, and then we took that same software, that same website, and then we converted it into what we call Zim 365 Travel, where people can just book Airbnbs, lodges, and that kind of thing, because there's more revenues there at the moment. But you're going to see that as the revenues for rural B&B start coming up, we're going to be doing much less of what's happening in the hotels. So that's one classic example of how you can use an existing feature of your current business in order to earn revenues, maybe in other sectors. Other examples could be that sometimes also when we are booking some of our friends for experiences, let's say they're coming to Victoria Falls and they want to book budget accommodation, we sometimes will upsell some upscale items, like we will have welcome gift sets for our guests. So a typical example is Nelsie does this really cool thing where, for example, she's got women who want to book like a girls trip to Victoria Falls, right? And they want to do it like on a budget, but they want to get the most out of it. So what Nelsie will do, she'll go into the markets and she'll buy a couple of items like the fabrics, get some dresses made, this one size fits all type thing, and then put like a bunch of earrings in there, some cheap sunglasses and whatever, make it color coded, put them into a tote bag, we brand it, and then they can have a gift set, and that makes their experience a lot better. And then we also talk to a bunch of different places to say that we're booking certain groups, can they get discount codes and so on. So you can already see that there's components that we would have been doing on a rural B&B level, because the company is still growing. We can still put that into other sectors and be able to do that. So for example, there are other experiences where people may not necessarily want to stay in a village, but we'll put them in a village inspired accommodation. So for example, people who are looking at investing in, say, staying in a or creating their own rural B&B, we will check them into maybe a hotel that's built like a rural hut, so something that has thatch, lots of African details and so on, and give them like an African experience in that particular place. Then on top of that, we'll organize like photo shoots and stuff like that for them to have a better experience. So bringing me to maybe my last example. Sorry, I was just testing the microphone. That's all I wanted to do. But the last example would be for Go Warriors fans. So how are we in the soccer space? So for example, the Warriors are going to be playing in AFCON in December. So our premise is that what if we can create packages for people to be able to go to Morocco? Now, Morocco has these old cities that are right in the middle of the city. They're new cities that are built around the old cities. So imagine that in Morocco, they've built big cities around villages, right? So their village tourism is right smack in the middle of their cities. So even if you're looking at places like Chefchaouen or in Tangier or Marrakesh, you can experience what would be a rural B&B within in Morocco itself. So we would be able to take people and give them an actual experience, a rural B&B experience in Morocco, and something that's really super awesome. And then we remember the gift idea, we can then package the Warriors like jerseys and other memorabilia and stuff like that, that the fans can actually have, that is included in the price of the tour itself. So that's a feature that exists from the rural B&B ecosystem that we're just bringing into another aspect. So basically look at your bigger idea and you can split it up into smaller ideas. The main thing is, think about it. Maybe you want to start an airline. Well, the first thing that you can do as a business before you've even bought any planes is to train air hostesses, or be a consistent person who's actually training people on the consistent way of delivering good service within the planes. So anyway, this is Carl Joshua Ncube testing the microphone. Hope it's all good. Share this video if you want. There's going to be a new series coming anyway on my LinkedIn and other platforms that is going to be taking you through business, because we've just started an import-export business, which is going to be trying to boost manufacturing in the villages by bringing in components that would have been expensive to create in Zimbabwe, by bringing them in from China and then bringing them to the village. So stuff like my glasses that I'm wearing here, the mold is made in China, but it will be using what's called injection molding in the villages, so the villages can collect garbage and plastic, recycle it, and then pump it, and then make these glasses. So all the components, like the little the hinges and that kind of thing, are all sourced from China, and the assembly and final manufacturing would be done in Zimbabwe. Anyway, long and short of it, break your big business idea into smaller, manageable, monetizable units.